So my name's Clare Stout and I'm the Senior Transformation Lead. I work in BT Enterprise, which is our business division. And in particular, I work within the Managed Services organisation. So I just wanted to take a few minutes to take you through, maybe bring to life some of the stuff that the gents have been talking in the session so far. Um, I'm going to start, Mark, if you move on to the next slide, please. I'm just going to start with a little bit of background, tell you a little bit about us. As I said, we're a managed services organization. We evolved from 9 different business units within BT, lots of people doing various flavors of managed services, supporting a massive variety of portfolios of services and products. And we had numerous legacy tools and systems, all the stuff that I'm sure lots of you guys who are listening will recognize in terms of, lack of automation, unclean data, fragmented customer journeys. So I guess we've been in existence now for 6 years together collectively as Enterprise Managed Services, and in that time we've been on a journey, and then I'm going to take you a little bit through the journey, but with a specific focus on AI and how we've used that in our organisation. But just to give you a bit of I guess an idea in terms of the size of our organisation, resources wise, we have somewhere in the region of 2,000 colleagues. We have we cover the whole ITIL capability. So we manage delivery activity. We look after sort of incident events. You've got your problem, your change. We've got knowledge management. The whole lot we manage, and we offer that as a service to our customers in a managed capability. And typically the customers we support are major corporate customers and government customers. So in terms of data and protection and security and all the rest of it, the work that we do can be highly sensitive, and a big part of some of the decisions in terms of building our tooling capability and what we do next is around how we protect that customer data and that customer experience on some of these customers who are dealing with really sort of can be life-threatening circumstances on a day-to-day basis in some cases. So we have to be really careful with everything we do in terms of our systems and our tools in order to make sure that we protect that customer experience. So I'll not spend a huge amount of time on this slide other than to sort of call out the big numbers. We have in excess of 2,500 customers, 4.5 million config items supported, 20,000 managed security devices, 10 million alarms across the entire estate, and 60,000 complex changes per year, just to name a few. And I've already mentioned we cover the full gambit of the ITIL framework. We, as well as I guess a very strong delivery function up front, and we have a very specific managed services security capability within our organization as well. So now set the scene. I'm just going to move on to the next slide, Mark, if I may. And this really is to tell you a little bit, maybe bring to life a little bit some of the messages the guys who've spoken before me would tell you about, because when we started this journey, when we came together as a team, we realized that we needed a sort of a standardized tool and ecosystem, and we spent the last 6 years building that. And I'm not going to take you through this in huge detail because a lot of it, I guess it sort of speaks for itself, but I think the key point in me sharing this slide and mentioning it is that in order for AI to have been successful in the way that it has been in where we've gotten to so far on our journey, has been because we've had this joined up view. We've started from scratch and we've built the ITSAM tool set, we've done the inventory cleanse, and we've set up I guess best in class network monitoring. We've spent the time and the money to do that, and we knew we need to do that because it's the basics, it's the foundations of what we've needed in order to then move on I guess, exploit a lot of that data and that information that we have already. So we have, like I say, a single IT CSM tool set. That's what the guys use to share incidents, update the whole 360 degree of the customer. That is a standardized tool set that everybody in our organization use, and that's been in existence now for well, certainly well over the 5 years, the 5 years now. We have invested in inventory cleanse, and you'll hear, I mean, you've heard about it a little bit up until this point, but I'm going to talk about that a little bit more as I go through this presentation. The CMDB, the quality of the information in our CMDB is key when you start talking about AI. And for us, because of our legacy and the system that we've come from, we've actually had to employ resources to come in and to do the inventory cleanse to get us to a position where we could just really use the value of all the systems we've got, as well as investing in sort of auto discovery capability. We also consolidated all of our event monitoring activity into a single network monitoring tool. We had a number of different tools, some better than others, but the tool that we use now is pretty much the launch pad for us for everything that we're doing in an AI environment. So we've talked about, I'm not going to go into the details. The next level down is around process automation and network automation. We have tooling capability that allows us to take the data from our service management layer, and it is allowing us to, I guess, build automation that some of the guys have already talked to you about. We then, in that purple section, we have a digital layer. And this is, again, I've not got a lot of math slides today because I'm speaking mostly about AI, but we do have our own sort of purpose-built portal which our customers can self-serve from. We have web chat capability in order to have that conversation. As a business, we haven't yet gone down the route of chat ops, because typically our customers, it hasn't been something that there's been a massive amount of demand for. We've not ruled it out, and it is something that we will start to look on. It is part of the roadmap and the journey. However, it's not been the most important to us as a business for now. So we've created this portal which allows our customers to raise incidents, to check this where their orders are at, where their incidents are at. Check, they can raise sort of planned engineering works information on there, tell us about change and things like that. So it's a very feature-rich portal. We just haven't yet looked into the chatbot side of things, because I guess customer demand for us with our customers isn't necessarily reflected in that area. And then in the bottom level, we're talking about the exploitation layer. So we've got DevOps. We have a highly skilled community within the managed services team. We're very fortunate to have really sort of highly accredited technical services guys, and DevOps training and accreditation is part of what the professionalization that we invest in our people. The reason I mention that is because it's been really important for us to be able to work with the data that we've gotten out of our network monitoring capability, and to use the automation capacity we've bought in order to get the best value out of that. We've needed to use our teams, our technicians, in a DevOps agile type environment in order to learn and take all of the good stuff that we've got in all of our tools and actually deliver sort of automation and remove the need for manual intervention. The other thing I'll call out in this exploitation layer is our cognitive services, and I'm going to talk to you in a little bit more detail about that as we go through that. But we've actually we've invested in, well, what we're calling digital diagnostics now. So we've got a lot of machine-based learning particularly in our sort of second and third line tech services environments, which is pretty much using all of the base data that I've talked to you about earlier up this tool stack, in order to reduce our mean time to repair and in order to make repeatable decisions and update our diagnostic capability almost on a daily basis using the tools that we have. So that was a bit of a whistle stop tour this is our 6-year journey, and I guess for anybody who's thinking about starting the AI journey, my advice absolutely would be you need to have the basics in place, and certainly I guess the top 3 black boxes would be key before you're even thinking about wanting to move on anywhere else. You really need to be sure that you've got a I guess a fit for purpose service management layer. So if I move on to the next slide, Mark, what I've just done here is I've called out, I have 2 examples specifically out of this tooling ecosystem that I've explained that I wanted to maybe talk to you about in a little bit of detail, and maybe help bring to life some of the previous speakers. I know Dominic talked a lot about the service now and about events and noise, and I think Duncan prior to that had mentioned noise. We do within our event management capability. So if you think back to the service management layer I just talked you through, we have a new network monitoring tool now. It's been say new, it's been in our ecosystem for the best part of 2 years now. All of our customers are now migrated onto that, and it is it's a huge source of data, which has algorithms that provides us with information around, first of all, where alarms are being raised, which doesn't need manual activity, where we can check where our people have checked the alarm, nothing's been needed, so they've been able to close it down. And it's given us, I guess, key machine-based data signals to allow us to understand what we can automate and what we can't. So using that machine data from our monitoring tool and using the automation capability that we've bought, we've had squads of people who've literally worked through and automated on a case-by-case basis many of our alarm scenarios, so much so that that we've at the stage now where we're seeing that about 78% of what comes to us comes proactively via an event, as opposed to an incident, a reactive incident, if you like. But within that 78%, 71% of those events, we now use that data from our monitoring system, and using the automation that we've built on top of that, they are now zero touch. Literally, the event comes through, the machine, the data kicks in, the automation kicks in, and that those events are closed, and we don't need to look at that. Our guys don't need to look at that at all. It's been a massively successful for our teams. What gets presented to the guys who are managing the events are things that they've got to really think about, look at. It's gotten rid of the noise, but it's also gotten rid of anything that is in any way repeatable, or that the tooling can learn from it, and allow us really to focus on what you would call the value add. And I think this is probably our first, I guess, our first sort of testing of the water around the AI experience. And then if I'm going to move on to the next slide, I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about our digital diagnostics. So once we had the zero touch ticketing capability in place, and we saw the value of that, and the team saw the value of that, we then decided to invest in some capability, some tooling capability. I'm not talking about vendors on this section, but basically what we're calling digital diagnostics is basically a capability that we've invested in, which takes feeds from the service management platforms I was talking to you about, and from the monitoring tool, and it actually builds a model of our customer network. So using it builds maps of our customer networks. It takes everything that we've got and we've done on customers previously and builds those maps. So and then it's able to run automated tests across our whole landscape. So customers' devices are loaded onto this system. We use all of the capability to build those maps, and we run the diagnostics regularly. The machine runs the diagnostics regularly, updates the results, saves the results, stops us manually having to do all of that. But what it also does is it takes, when for whatever reason the diagnostics can't be done digitally in the first instance, and it has to go to a second or a third line engineer to do those diagnostics. It saves what that second or third line engineer did, saves that all into the run books, and it then allows it almost like evolves that run book further, so that in future more and more of what we're doing, of the tests that we're running, can be digitally diagnosed. So it works for us. We've been deploying this digital diagnostics capability since June last year. So we're coming up to, since July. So we're coming up to a year now. We have 50,000 customer devices loaded on there already, run books fully in operation, and it's making a big difference. It works on any of our networks. It works on any sort of issues that we have across the ITIL capability. So incident change problem, and it works in the same way. And so far, it's given us we're seeing 30% reduction in mean time to repair. In some cases it's higher, in some customers it's lower, depending on any number of factors. So on average, we're seeing around about a 30% reduction in the mean time to repair. And over 5 years, the forecast savings, of which we've delivered a fair few of those already, is 18 million cost savings. Now, we are doing this not because we're trying to cut heads. We are doing this because we're trying to keep pace with demand and with the business asks. So going back to Barclay's point earlier on, we haven't actually lost anybody as part of this process. We've not actually, it's not been a case of people have lost jobs. It's actually been a case of we've been able to focus on the value that our people can deliver in the diagnostic process, and we've been able to do more as customer growth has come in. We've been able to support more customers using the same amount of people, because we're focusing on the value add activity. So we're still in the process of running this out. As I mentioned, we've had 50,000 devices. We'll be up to 100,000 by the end of next quarter. We'll be fully deployed across the whole of our estate by the end of Q3. But so far, the results have been really, really positive. The guys enjoy it and enjoy seeing how it's going to work. It appeals particularly to our second and third line community. They're techie anyway, so it's really appealing to be able to see how these diagnostics run and how it's working, and to do the tests and to be able to support more customers as a result of having this capability within our ecosystem. So I think probably just to go on to my final slide, just to pull it all together, I guess I wanted to share a little bit, if I could, about lessons learned from our perspective. And I will start with just reiterating this whole experience, the whole ecosystem, the sort of the tooling ecosystem we've delivered, but in particular, especially the AI activity that sits within that. It's been very welcome across the board. The teams have embraced the opportunities. It's got rid of, call it what you call noise, call it what you call the less exciting and challenging elements of a number of jobs as part of us rolling out this ecosystem, and the whole experience has been generally positive. There are challenges within that. Obviously, I'm not saying it's perfect, but it's been very well received by our community and across the wider business, if I'm honest. But I did want to call out for anybody who's thinking about embarking on this journey. Thinking about it, I wanted to call out a couple of key things that we've found. And the first one is about I call it data. Barclay mentioned it right up at the very beginning, but none of this will work. None of this AI, all of these ideas and grand plans and machine learning, none of that will be effective unless you've got your data right up front. And I don't know about the rest of you guys on the call, but certainly we've had real challenges with this, and I think that's fairly widespread across the board. Anybody I've spoken to who's been deploying tooling, but in particular AI. So I've already mentioned it, but we did invest in resources to clean up the inventory to allow us to work on to maximize the value of the ecosystem that we delivered. And what we've also done is we've invested in some auto discovery that works as we go. It is not necessarily perfect, but it is a lot better now than it ever was. It allowed us to I guess to get as far as we can, but still probably maybe a little bit more. I think for us as an organisation to do around tidying up our processes and manual behaviour around sort of commissioning, decommissioning, etc., in order for us to be able to say that we really were on top of, I guess, data moving forward. Um, the other thing I'm going to jump down to the bottom if I can, and I think Barclay also sort of touched on this. It will inevitably take you longer than you expect to deploy. If I think about, I mean, the whole tooling ecosystem, because of the amount of customers we have that we've had to migrate onto our capability, but also the complexities and the security requirements of each individual customer, as well as the amount of products and services that we support. I, a lot of this is not quick wins. It absolutely isn't. That said, the digital diagnostics piece, the fact that within a year we have 50k devices already loaded and working, run books working, and seeing the value of it is progress for us. That's probably one of the quickest deployments we've had in the full 6 year that we've been able to. That is on the back of the fact that we've gone through a lot of the pain in bringing in the service management layer and the network monitoring layer. We've gone through a lot of that pain, which means that we're now in a position where we can start go that bit more quickly. But you're still going to get technical challenges because your tooling needs to integrate. You do need to integrate across the board, unless you've got one tool that does everything for you. You know that it will take time, and I guess spend money to do your tooling in integration. So if you're building plans, project plans, etc., I would very definitely bear that in mind. You probably need to be thinking about the unhappy path rather than the happy path in order to manage expectations. We do have an agile deployment capability, and our stakeholders have been massively supportive of this. Certainly our digital diagnostics capability is really quite renowned in our organization now. It excites people. So we've had a lot of people behind us, but even then, just the actual day-to-day, how long it takes to get all of your integration in place and sorted out and ready to go with your customers, it is a fairly hefty process that you have to follow. Also, given the nature of the customers that we support, your procurement, your security processes, and everything that you have to work through to make sure you are whiter than white and you are protecting your crown jewels, is something that you need to bear in mind. And if I could just come up to I guess the top right hand box, the last thing I really was wanting to call out was this has been a really good news story for our people. I've already mentioned that, but you know, we've not been doing this as in order to cut jobs or roles or anything like that. We've been doing this to allow us to keep pace with growth and with the business. So it has been positioned as a good news story. It is a good news story. We're actually, as well as investing in the capability, we're still investing in our people and our professionalization and our accreditation. So our guys are, whilst they see that we're bringing in tooling and AI that is allowing them to, I guess, to cut elements of the work away, they also see that we're paying for them to be technically accredited, to be professionally accredited, because they are of massive value to our business. And for me, that's been really important in terms of the way we've landed the message for our people, and something that I would recommend you consider doing in a similar way. there has been some learning that we could have taken, and this is particularly for me and my team, if I'm honest with you, the people who are, I guess, rolling out the transformation plans, and that is, um, you can't do enough training, and engagement. So we had a big training plan. It was built, particularly in particular around the sort of the second and third line engineers, which is where we started a lot of the digital diagnostics capability and rolling out. And that training plan, it really landed with those guys, because they're techie, and they're techie by nature, and that's what they like to that was the way they like to see it. um, as we're moving into this year, we're spending more time doing more on role specific training and role specific comms and engagement, just to keep sharing the good news story, so people feel part of what you're doing, and it feels as though they are, um, it's just one element of a story that we all share, I think. And I think the other thing as well is, we have a smallish team of uh, project management capability who roll out this transformation. We also have access to uh, technical experts, again, smallish numbers, of technical experts who have actually helped us with the technical delivery. Between us, uh, it's not possible to keep pace with what we need to do and get round to all of our 2,000 strong organisation. So what we've recently started to do, or started to think about doing, is actually utilize experts within the organizations. So as we've rolled out tools and capabilities, anybody who has a particular aptitude within the desk or particular interest, we're working with them in order to, have them exploit their capability within on site with their colleagues, with their peers, in order to be able to sort of extol the virtues of this system and make sure that everybody's getting the benefit of it, because we're learning things daily as people are using the tooling and the capability that we've deployed. So I think that's pretty much the key messages I wanted to share. I would absolutely advise you do it. Absolutely, it has been fantastic for our organization. So you know what I mean, nothing at all to be frightened of, but go into it with your eyes open would be my advice.